kid, because when we moved to that small town of Brazil, Indiana, I had a learning disability. I was stuttering. I was battling so much shit that I never even told my mom about, because she was battling her own demons. So at 8 years old, I'm looking for comfort, and I'm like, hey, don't bother your mom with shit. You are not the man of the house. And I started becoming real protective of my mother at a young age. So whatever you're going through, man, you're on your fucking own. You're not gonna tell your mom shit. And she ended up finding out later through the school systems and through me failing and through me, all these issues I went through. She found out a lot, but I kept as much as I could from her, man. And that really was a hard task for me to raise yourself mentally when you're already in the deepest, darkest dungeon of all time. And I think that's where I started really creating myself. I had to really start creating a certain pattern, a certain process, a certain kind of indestructible toolbox to handle my life.
Well, you were on this trajectory to nowhere pretty quick, but the kind of inciting incident that starts to shift your trajectory is this Air Force guy that comes into your life, right? Mm-hmm. Like you develop this obsession with the military. Right. And then you meet this dude who survived that parachuting. Right.
It was nuts, man.
Parachuting gone very wrong, and you become obsessed with this guy. And that, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems like the first sort of glimmer of hope that you might find your way in a different,
So,
path.
Like I talked about a lot, it started off with the Rocky and Rambo movies. Right. Those were kind of like my fathers when I was coming up. But then when I finally met this guy named Scott Guerin, this guy that fell off it, he had a parachute accident. A guy crashed through his parachute, and he fell 13,000 feet, pretty much to his death because his parachute collapsed, and he fell 120 miles an hour to the ground.
That picture in the book.
It's disgusting, right? And so he hit the ground, and I met him a couple years later at this CAP, Civil Air Patrol camp, and I'm sitting there, and no kid was like amazed by him. It was like, okay, this is a great story. I'm a kid. Let's go. I'm sitting there, he comes out, and I was amazed by Rambo. Like at a young age, I was like, oh my God, this is the real Rambo. He came out, he had, he got his throat cut open to open up his airway. And so I saw he got trached, and I saw all these different things. I was like, my God, he came out talking all like Clint Eastwood, and he shared the story, and he's all hardcore. And I started following this guy, but he didn't know I was following him. So for a week long, he did push-ups and flutter kicks, and I was like, man, that is the real Rambo.
Why do you think it connected with you and not with the other kids? Like, what was it inside of you that was, obviously searching for somebody like that?
I was looking for strength my entire life. I didn't have any. I was a really weak kid. My dad beat the living shit out of me and took I was strong as a young kid. But me protecting my mom for so many years in that house, my dad made me very afraid because he beat the shit out of me every time I went at him. So in that, every man wants courage. Every man wants strength. At least this one does. So I found it in every way possible. And when I see a strong guy, I was like, okay, maybe he can teach me. So he didn't know anything about me. So time went on, I left school, and then this guy was in my mind. We had zero money, man. Like at one time, we lived in a $7 a month place, government subsidized apartments. Now we live in like a $200 place at this time. I went on a $500 phone bill. And back then, dude, and having no money, my mom wanted to kill me. I was in search of Scott Guerin.
Yeah, no Google, no internet.
Google, no nothing.
You're just randomly calling up bases?
Air Force bases, man. Calling up Air Force bases, man. Hey, do you know what Scott Guerin? What do you mean? I'm like, who's Scott Guerin? I'm like, he's a pararescueman. A what? Because, pararescuemen, there's not a lot of them. So I started getting, there's a PJ base here, a pararescue base here. So I started tracking down pararescue bases. Finally, Key West, Florida. He's a scuba instructor down there in Key West, Florida. I leave a message. He calls back, gets a hold of my mom. I'm like, I cannot believe this guy called me back. My first question to him was, hey, man, can I come stay with you for a week? He's like, who the fuck are you, man? He didn't know who the fuck I was. The guy let me come stay with him for a week.
And that was, you were senior in high school?
I was a junior in high school. Mm-hmm. It was in my junior year, pretty much.
It's pretty amazing that he was open to that.
He was open to it. I think he said about 4 words to me in the entire week. We PT'd together, and I didn't need to hear a word from him. He didn't talk a lot. He was an instructor. I would go to school or to scuba school with him. He would instruct. I'd sit on the couch for 10 hours. Sit in the lounge on the fucking couch for 10 hours. He'd come back, pick me up. We go for a run. He'd go home. We ate fish every fucking day because we had to go out in the ocean, like go lobster hunting. I hate the fucking water. I was scared to death, but this guy went in, so I'm going in. And I left there with just one big thing. That's what I want to be. I want to be a guy like that.
Yeah, this desire within you to find like a strong, positive male, role model for your life.
I was looking hard, man.
Yeah, but it wasn't easy following that path for you.
No, it was the hardest thing I did in my life. Being a pararescue man, trying to be a pararescue man, there was a lot of things I didn't know about, and not having a mentor, not having, Scott was there. He really wasn't. I met him for a week. I saw him maybe a couple times, and I started bucking the shit out of him. He was a busy guy, had a family, so I was back on my own. And I did the best I could. And trying to be a pararescue, I finally passed the ASVAB test after taking it several times. And when you cheat your whole life in high school and elementary school, I had about 4th grade reading level. So I talk about that a lot in the book, and I had to learn so much school in 6 months. And that's when I really developed my work ethic. People think it's from running and everything. No, it's not from SEALs, it's not from running. It was from the countless hours teaching myself how to fucking read and write. I had a tutor for 1 hour. 1 hour every single week. That's all we could afford. So for 6 months, I saw a tutor 1 hour a week. All the rest was on me. My mom was working 3 jobs. She was never home. I sat at this fucking table. I have to get in the military. And that became my obsession.
The whole book is really about mindset. That is the whole game. And I would agree that people look at you and they want to talk about Badwater and all these races that you've done, 8 100-milers in 8 weeks and all this insanity.
Right.
But really, this is all a product of hardening your mind, callousing your mind, to use your phrase. And throughout the book, what really, makes it stand out is that there are lessons throughout. Like, this is a book in which it would be easy to think that David Goggins is the hero, but the reader is the hero, which is why you made this decision to reference what we were talking about earlier, to have Adam read it, because you wanted the reader to see themselves in this own journey. And you have these chapters, or after every chapter, you have these challenges and takeaways for people to use to change their own mindset. But even woven into the narrative, you're breaking away from the story to say, look, this is what you got to do, this is what I did, this is how you do it.
Right.
And the first one of these really is the accountability mirror, right, which you still use. But what I didn't realize was that you developed that when you were like a junior in high school.
Yeah.
You started doing that.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I did the accountability mirror and then everything started working out for me.
No, it wasn't like it was a fix it all. No, it was just a starting point to start holding myself accountable. And how that came to be, man, my mom got a letter from school, and this is when I had to reveal myself and all my secrets. The secret came out, man, that I wasn't going to school, that I had flunked most of my classes. I had my report card in there for everybody to see, one of them. And it was revealed.
D's and F's in that.
Yeah, it was a nice report card. Thanks a lot, Rich. I appreciate it.
You put it in there, man.
I put it in there, man. But you have to talk about it right now. It was a very embarrassing report card. And she was like, "What is this?" And this was like, she didn't see any report cards in my life. And at this time, she was frustrated. Not with me.
Well, you had doctored that other report card, right? I
doctored so much crap, but she didn't really see that one. But I doctored all my report cards. And this is when I had to reveal myself. And she was like, "You know what, man? You're going to flunk out." And that was the conversation. I'm like, "Hey, we got to do something." She said, "You got to fail." She had her own demons, her own problems. And that's when I went into the bathroom. And I was like, "My God, dude, like, this is a harsh reality. Your mom is like, you're done." And I'm like, "You are on."